I would like to call this meeting to order. This is a special meeting of the Board of Trustees. It is February 25th at 12 noon. I want to declare a quorum of 7 members present. Item C, public comments. With no comments, we will move to item D, executive session. The board will meet in executive session to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or an employee, including superintendent of schools. This executive session deliberations will be held pursuant to the Personnel Matters Closed Meetings exception to the Texas Open Meetings Act as set forth in Section 551.074 of the Texas Governmental Code. I'm going to call us back into session. It is 12:41. Item G1, consideration, discussion, and possible action related to naming the finalists for the superintendent of schools. It is my recommendation that we name Mike Martindale, our lone finalist, for the superintendent job of College Station ISD. At this point, I'd like to see how everybody else thinks and open this up for discussion.
I guess I'll go first. Wrote a few notes. I can say with confidence that I think we have found the right leader to be our next superintendent of College Station School District. And I guess I'll share a few reasons why I think that. First of all, most of you know I am a process person. And so I think we did go through a meaningful process to get to this point. You know, we spent a lot of time together talking about what was important to us for our district and particularly for its leader. And then another important piece of that process was that we also asked our community what was important to them. And so the focus groups, came back with it was reassuring to hear from the focus groups that, our district was moving in the right direction. And, while they recognize room for improvement, I recognize there's always room for improvement. We didn't hear that we needed a big change agent or a big disruption to our district at this point. And I agree with that, certainly. And then kind of along those same lines, I also believe that when an organization is doing well and making good progress, we should most of the time be able to promote from within. That's a sign that things are working correctly. And I actually could recognize Dr. Ely and Dr. Colson for their work in, developing, hopefully, our next leader, working through a, principal in the elementary, principal in the high school, and then the last 3 years as the deputy superintendent. I think Mr. Martindale has developed and really demonstrated the leadership we need for the district. And so, again, I can really confidently, happily say that I would certainly support us naming him as the finalist for our next superintendent.
Thank you, Ms. McAdams.
That was very well said, and I know, but thank you, because those are a lot of the same thoughts that I have as well, and you said it so very clearly, so thank you for that. I agree with all of it, and then also, for me, when this process started for us, I don't think this is going to come as a surprise to very many people, but I had a couple areas that were very non-negotiable for me, and this is what's not going to be a surprise, and one of those for me was community-based accountability. You all know that, and I think the community knows that as well. So, to me, that is a concept and a commitment that is really large. And I was worried about this process because there aren't very many districts in the state of Texas that are involved in community-based accountability right now. And I knew that I wanted our next leader to value that and to understand the big picture when it comes to community-based accountability, and that that through that process, holding ourselves accountable to much stricter standards that our students, our teachers, our administrators, our district does so much better. And so that was I was hoping that we would find someone that valued that as well. And throughout the process, we did learn that the community also values that. But I got to ask direct questions and learn that Mr. Martindale also values that. And I knew that from working with him on committees, throughout the term that I've been on the school board. But actually going through the process and having the interview and everything, we got to ask questions. And I saw that not only does he embrace it and value it and want to move it forward, but he understands it, and he does see the big picture, and he wants to bring even more into this and continue to move us forward. So since that was a non-negotiable for me, I was very, very pleased to learn that, and I also confidently recommend Mr. Martindale.
Thank you, Ms. Nolan.
Well, I don't know if I want to follow these two, but I will. I also feel very confident in our decision, one that was definitely not taken lightly. Many hours have been spent discussing this, evaluating, really, I think the community focus groups not only helped us understand where the community was feeling from a district standpoint and where we're going, but also gave us some great input. And as non-negotiables for Ms. Nolan, our community-based accountability, a two-way communication with our district is a non-negotiable for me. I felt during our evaluation very confident in Mr. Martindale and what he will bring to the community from that standpoint. A few other things that I think it's important for everyone to know is Mr. Martindale's leadership style. That is also truly important, as he is at the helm of a district with 14,000 students, 19 schools. He has high expectations of his staff and holds a very high accountability, which I think is very, very important in this district in the juncture that we're in right now. Mr. Martindale is a strong relational leader, which I also think is critical at this point in our district. He's been on the front lines as a teacher, as a principal. He can relate to the day-to-day struggles that our teachers and our staff go through every single day. I think one of the things that stood out during our interview process with Mr. Martindale for me was that he learned early in his career as a teacher with high-risk youth that you have to focus on educating the whole child. And I think now more than ever, in our society, that is crucial. It's not just academics anymore. We have to be there for the whole child. And I appreciated the emphasis that he gave on his philosophy on that. Mike is transparent. And in my opinion, it's probably one of the most important qualities a superintendent should have. I'm confident that the decisions Mike will make will not be made in a bubble. He will work with his key stakeholders in the district to create the buy-in necessary in order to execute on the ultimate strategy. The future is bright with Mr. Martindale at the helm, and I'm very proud to recommend him as our next superintendent.
Thank you, Ms. Green.
Y'all have picked up on this since I joined the board, that I'm a person that collects and researches and gathers every bit of data that I possibly can. But I do that in hopes of coming to a informed and realistic decision by using that information that we were graciously given with the focus groups and our discussions with the consultants and all the feedback we got there. Some things that were brought up of what the next superintendent of schools in College Station need to, in a sense, be. They needed to be a leader. They needed to have experience. They needed to have the vision of where we're headed and be able to keep with that vision, but also understand we're going to still come across some challenges. But it all came back to me of having gone through this district, moved away, come back, now I'm here, now my kids are going through the district and watching that. It all came back to a passion, because I'm passionate about this district, or I wouldn't have run for school board. I wouldn't have come back here to raise my family. So the passion that Mr. Martindale shows for College Station ISD was kind of the end all be all for me. When you wrap that up, it brings in a culture that we have, and we're thankful for that, but it's rapidly changing, and we have to adapt to those changes that are going to come. And I feel like he will be a great leader to welcome us into those next steps that we might take. Are we perfect? No. But we're thriving, and our student success shows that, and that's huge. So being a 97 graduate at A&M Consolidated, I can say I can recommend Mike Martindale as next superintendent of schools for College Station ISD.
Thank you, Mr. Horak.
I won't repeat everything that everybody else has said, because everybody else that's spoken has been absolutely correct. The only thing I would add is that as an attorney and as a business owner, one thing I've discovered over the last 20 years is when the easy answer and the difficult answer are both the same answer, it's usually the right answer. And in this process, the easy answer to who should be our deputy superintendent, who should be the next superintendent, has always been Mr. Martindale. Who was going to lead us during this transition period? Easy answer. When people in the community focus groups, even those who said, hey, maybe we should look outside the district, if they said, if we stay inside the district, though, he's the guy. So that part was easy. But in our discussions as a board, our discussions with the consultants, the interview process, even those more difficult discussions, he was the answer there too. And based upon that, I have 100% confidence that he is the right answer for College Station ISD at this point and into the future. And so I'll just finish by saying I'm excited. I'm excited to work with Mr. Martindale. I'm excited to see his leadership over the next several years, and I'm just giddy and happy for College Station ISD.
Well, this is when going last really hurts, because you all have articulated my excitement and my emotions and I think my belief very well. I also am incredibly excited at the possibility of Mike Martindale being the next superintendent of CSISD. Probably will repeat a thing or three that has been mentioned already, but when this process started, the first thing that hit me was how important the decision was and is. And that of everything that we do as a board, that this is most likely the most important decision, because of the ramifications across every area of this district. And, of course, having to ask ourselves what's important in our future leader, and the things that the community came to us with, the things that we talked about. This gentleman to my right checked a lot of those, if not all, of the boxes. And what you said, Mr. Ben, about the easy answer and the difficult answer, I mean, that's perfect. That's a perfect way to put it. I know for me personally, I was hoping, praying for someone who is an outstanding leader, someone who had the experience, as you mentioned, Mr. Orek, and someone with integrity. And again, the boxes are checked. Mr. Martindale has excelled in every place that he's been and in every position that he has held. He's one of the first people I met when I moved here as a principal at CSHS, where my son was a sophomore. The culture that you created there, the team that you developed, was just the beginning of what you were going to do over here. And I remember when I first got on the board, I think I've shared this with some of y'all, that the first month I got the call from Dr. Ely, and it was my first time to learn that you don't ever want to answer when the superintendent calls, but that it was Mr. Martindale was leaving CSHS. And I was actually driving behind the school about an hour later when you were done telling your staff that you were leaving, and it was like a wake because you were so loved, and everyone thought it was the end of the world, but it wasn't, because you had developed such an incredible team there that they just picked up and took it further on down the road. And I'm excited to see you do that here in this new position. A lot of us are very pleased with where we are as a district, but we're also not satisfied. And I think we know that you're not either. And that's exciting. And so I believe we are blessed to have a leader of his ability and of his heart. And I also recommend Mike Martindale to be superintendent of College Station Independent School District. I believe the best is yet to come.
Thank you, Mr. Nugent. I would like to thank the prior boards and cabinets, Dr. Colson, Dr. Ely, for putting us in this decision where it's easy. I mean, they've created leaders, and it made this process for us so much easier. College Station ISD is a sought-after district. We are the best, and I think we expect the best. I talked to quite a few people doing reference checks on Mr. Martindale, and it was interesting. Yes, Mr. Martindale, I did call. And some of the comments were, he's worked for y'all for a long period of time. Why are you asking these questions? And it's one of the things that I think we wanted to go through the process. And it was interesting, the comments that each of y'all made today are the same comments that I wrote down on my notes. As Mr. Nugent said, one of the biggest decisions school boards make is hiring a superintendent. None of us have taken this lightly. We have spent quite a few hours together, many days. It's been a long 2 months, but I'm assured that we're making the right decision. As I finish my last year on the school board, anytime I do something, I always ask that personal thing, have you left it better than you found it? And Mr. Martindale, you give me assurance that I have. Thank you for all you've done, and I'm expecting great things from you. There's 14,000 kids and 19 schools that will be counting on you. That's a lot of kids. Any further comments?
Okay, just one more, and this is to my fellow board members. I didn't know how this was going to take it, what directions it was going to take us, and you talk to other boards, and they say that this is one of those processes that can either make or break a board. And I am very proud to say that I think this helped pull us even stronger, made us stronger, and pulled us together even more, and I am very proud to call all of you fellow board members. So it's actually been a pleasant experience and process with all of you. So thank you.
I agree. This was very definitely team building. So do I hear a motion that we name Mike Martindale College Station ISD as loan finalist?
I'll do that. I will make a motion to name Mike Martindale as the College Station Independent School District loan finalist for superintendent.
I will gladly second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 At this point, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Motion passes 7-0. Now the meeting's adjourned.